So the better way, according to me, is you be a solo founder, build cool things, talk about it, and create a gravitational field around yourself. What that will do is the next time you talk to someone, they will know that this person is doing like some really good things and they will want to be a part of it. And like you'll immediately get credibility. Every room you go into, like you will stand out. And that works wonders to attract the right kind of people. So be a solo founder, build traction, and use that to attract other people. And then it gets way easier. Now, while you are a solo founder, continue to work on your ideas. However, if you can do a work trial with a potential co-founder without abandoning your current idea, do it. Like, as long as it does not kill your momentum, every chance you get to do a work trial, you should do it because that will calibrate your sense of what you need in a co-founder and that will help you test out way more people. Like, it is incredibly important that you work with people. And even if you work with someone for 1 week, it's an incredible amount of data. Like, your gut will tell you everything you need to know after a week.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fifth episode of The Her Show, a show where we talk to founders, VCs, founding engineers, and other people in the startup ecosystem. Today, we have with us Akshay. Hi, Akshay, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Akshay. So, Akshay is a fellow classmate from Columbia, the MS and CS program, who's now building in SF. So, Akshay, talk to us about your journey. You went to IIT Bombay, and then you came to Columbia for your MS and CS. That would have been in itself a dream journey for a lot of people. What made you decide that you want to start your own company instead of joining a big tech, which would have been the more traditional path for a lot of people?
Yeah, so let me give you like a quick background of like what I did in undergrad and then why I decided to do a startup. So I was born and brought up in Mumbai. I went to like I did my undergrad in IIT Bombay, where I primarily did AI research. So for the first 3 years, I did many AI projects under different professors. I worked with Adobe as part of their multimodal research team. And after 3 years of doing this, I realized that in research, AI research right now, you can't make a huge impact, not unless you're inside these big AI labs. Like the kind of research I was doing in academia wasn't impactful enough to me. And in my mind, it's always been I either create enormous impact by doing research like Einstein or by doing startups like Elon. Like that's like the two buckets because when you want to change the boundaries of humanity, you either do research or you do a startup. So I tried research. I did not like it. I'm very grateful to IIT Bombay because there was absolutely top-notch research there and I got a good taste of it. But then in my final year, I decided I have to do startups. So I did an entrepreneurship course with some of my friends, really enjoyed the whole process, and then immediately came to the US for my master's in CS. And at that point, I knew I just want to build startups. So even throughout my master's, I was just building and shipping different products and speaking to users.
So, Akshay, in that case, what made you pursue a master's instead of doing or building a startup right after your undergrad? What was that thought process for like for you?
So I think there are two factors here. So one factor was that in my head, like it wasn't very actively, like I hadn't thought super hard about it, but I knew that the US is great for startups and all the startups that have changed the world until now have come from the US. Like just statistically, you are more likely to create a world-changing startup here. So that was one big factor. And the second factor was at that point, I did not have like I was taking the directionally correct move. I did not have enough conviction in one idea to say I'm going to do a startup right now in India. In fact, I didn't even know like if startups is the way to go, but I just knew that I was inclined to it. And coming to the US, it opened up my options. There were only good things after. I could take up a high paying job here, or I could do a startup in Silicon Valley. So that's why I thought I'll come here.
That makes a lot of sense, Akshay. So, the next question a lot of people would generally have is if you're here on an F1 visa, how do you start a company? Can you sponsor yourself? What are the prerequisites and how does one go about with that?
Okay, so this great question. This is a misconception which a lot of people have, especially like people who come here for higher studies. That like there is a lot of confusion around the visa situation. So let me tell you, I've spoken to many immigration lawyers. I am also in the process of getting my O1 visa, which is the Alien of Extraordinary Ability visa, which is usually how founders stay in the US and build a startup. When you do college in the US, there is this thing called OPT. Uh, Now, what you can do on OPT, it's an extension of your F1 visa. F1 visa is the student visa. So your visa will still be F1, but OPT gives you work authorization. So if you do any amount of studies in the US beyond a duration of 9 months, you get 1 year of OPT where you can be self-employed. You can be self-employed and not pay yourself. You can have your own company and work for it. Everything goes. It's completely free play. So for 1 complete year after you graduate, you get OPT work authorization where you can build a startup. Now, if you have taken a STEM course, if you studied math or physics or computer science or electrical engineering, for example, you also get a 2 year STEM OPT extension on top of your OPT. However, now in OPT you can be self-employed, but in STEM OPT you usually cannot be self-employed. So oftentimes, even if you are building a startup, like there are different ways. So one is that there is someone in your startup, maybe on your board, who you are answerable to. Like you have to show that there is someone who's training you and who can fire you. So that's one possible way to build your startup on STEM OPT. Uh, and apart from that, like if your startup doesn't pan out in your OPT, you can also take up a job and then you can do your STEM OPT as is. But ideally, you should try to get your O1 visa before your OPT is over.
Got it. So how long is the O1 process for, Akshay? So say someone just finished their degree and their F1 clock has started. Their OPT clock has started. So how long does the O1 applying for the O1 and getting approval for the O1 take? And if they get an RFE, how much longer would that again take? What is that process like?
So the typical process for an O1 visa is only 2 weeks. So the way it works is there are 8 criteria which you have to fulfill in order for your application to be strong. And those 8 criteria are something which you probably won't meet right out of college. Like you will have to build your profile. So you need to do research on what the criteria are and then build up different criteria so that you have a strong application. Once you have your application ready, like once you have your criteria more or less satisfied, you contact immigration law firms. Ideally, one in the Bay Area which specializes in founders. So now then the law firm will evaluate your profile and then they will either take you on and say that, okay, pay us and we'll submit an application. And then you have a 90 to 93% chance of success. It's a very high success rate. Or the law firms will tell you your profile is not good enough, work on this and then come back to us later. So the law firms are who do the actual filtering. And if you get accepted by the law firm, you're very likely to get your visa. And the process is 2 weeks long. In fact, the law firms will also give you a free consultation, a free 15-minute consultation in case you are unsure how many criteria you fulfill.
Got it. So when you say it's a 2 weeks process, is the law firm vetting you a 2 week process, or is the 2 week process inclusive of the law firm applying on behalf of you to USCIS and hearing back from the USCIS and all those things too?
Point of application by the law firm to getting your visa in your hand. That's 2 weeks.
Okay, that is
Yeah.
really quick. Interesting.
Yeah.
So actually, you finished school in Columbia, from Columbia in New York, and you moved to the other end of the country, the West Coast, which is SF. So what made you build or like think about moving to SF and like building an SF? It is expensive, it is competitive. What made you pursue this route? Yeah.
Um, so I think like even as I mentioned before, I only optimize for impact. Like I have thought very hard about what the meaning of my life is in the past. Like had some like thinking about nihilism a bit, reading some philosophy, stuff like that. And the conclusion I have come to for myself is that I will die pretty soon. All of my happiness and my memories will go away. But whatever I leave behind to improve other people's lives, that's going to stay. So because of that, I only optimize for impact. Now, to me, if I'm optimizing for impact in the age of AI, doing a job is going to be uh, a big opportunity cost for me. Like I will not do a job right now. Like I will keep doing startups, I'll keep failing, but I'll keep taking shots on target. And then one of these is going to hit it big. So like, yeah, I just, to me, doing a job isn't the best use of my time right now when the world is exploding with AI.
That makes sense. So Akshay, coming back, so what made you pick SF over New York? Was there something, did you meet someone or did you have a conversation with someone that made you decide that SF is a place you want to be? Or was it statistics or what was it? What was the thought process for you?
So I think initially it always starts with like things you hear. So for example, Y Combinator keeps feeding to you in all of their videos, come to SF, come to SF. You know, I had a bunch of friends who were building startups in SF, and SF is well known to be like the epicenter of the startup world. So just in terms of what the popular convention is, it's like come to SF, right? And I think when most people come to SF, they don't know exactly why. That's something you only realize when you have lived through it. But like after coming to SF, I see it very clearly. So basically, a couple of things. One is that the talent density here is insanely high. So if you're looking for a co-founder, if you're looking for early hires, if you're looking for friends building startups, the talent density is incredibly high. The second thing is SF is a small city. Like I know everyone in the early stage startup scene. I know people at Anthropic and OpenAI. I know people who have raised their seed. I know people who are going to raise their Series A. Any of my friends from IIT Bombay who want to build a startup will come to SF right now. Like they will not go to New York. Like it's just everything's happening here. There is a lot of serendipity. You meet the right people and there is high talent density here.
Makes sense. So
But
Akshay, that
so
being said,
one
right?
thing, yeah, one thing I would add is to make use of this, you have to be integrated into the ecosystem. And one of the best ways to do that is I get into one of these founder communities. Like, because if you just come to SF and like just go to random events, it's probably not going to be very useful.
That makes sense. So let's come back to the founder communities in just a bit, Akshay. So another aspect of being in SF is you're surrounded by people who are building, right? So have there been instances where people, people, there is a lot of competition when it comes to idea or customer retention or like, capital and things like that? Have you seen, or maybe even people trying to, just copy others' ideas right off? Have you seen things like that? What kind of a scene is it in SF?
I have not seen that. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that. Here, it's more that everyone's stumbling around in the dark a bit. Everyone's launching things. People maybe succeed, maybe fail. But I think, like, in major part, it's people supporting each other. And the thing about stealing ideas is that everyone is usually already working on something they are passionate about. And if you have conviction in something, it is extremely unlikely that someone will have more conviction than you and abandon their idea and do what you are doing and do it better than you. Like it's very unlikely. So I haven't seen it happen. Yeah, I don't think it's yeah
No, I think that's fair. I think the way you said it, right? So someone
yeah
has to believe in the idea more than you do, and they should be able to execute it as well. So that is not
yeah.
as easy as it might sound. That makes
In
sense.
fact, I would
So
say it's more difficult to convince people to join you. Like uh, ideally you want to get traction, you want people to see what you're building, you need to be very vocal about it on Twitter so that everyone in SF knows what you're doing, and then you need to attract the best people to it. So like chances are even if you try, people won't join you. So like yeah, don't worry about it too much. Yeah.
makes sense. So actually, I think the next question I was going to ask was about X and Twitter. You just spoke
Yeah.
about it. So people in SF, people building are very vocal on X and Twitter, right? So how do you find like-minded people on X and Twitter? How do you grow your network or connection with them? Do you go to events in SF and you get connected there, or do you connect on X and then you meet them in person? What is that whole
Yes.
journey or process
So
like?
yes, so a couple of things. So one thing I would say is events are usually low signal. Like almost every event I've been to in San Francisco has been low signal, except like hackathons which are privately organized by like different startups, like a Supabase plus YC hackathon. That was high signal. And then a couple of Z Fellows events, like very closed, it, like a Z Fellows is a community of people who are very interested in startups, and they usually vet the people who join pretty well. So that's a high quality event. South Park Commons events are high quality events, but general events and hackathons just aren't very high quality. So that's the first thing I would say. Now, when it comes to Twitter, I have firm opinions about this. So many years ago, when like before the US was founded, right? Before the founding fathers built the constitution, Benjamin Franklin had incredible influence. The only reason he had incredible influence was because he controlled the printing press, like he owned the newspaper and he controlled the flow of information. Today, Elon has bought Twitter so that I'm sure Elon boosts his posts. I mean, I'm almost sure about it. Like, it's an extremely powerful tool to have. I have friends who post on Twitter prolifically, and like just all the best people in SF already know them. Like, Jeff Dean, the guy who wrote the Lean Startup. I have a friend who is a great designer and he has 18K followers and he's just been posting. And he's done things with Alex Hormozy and Perplexity and Warp and all of these big players, Bolt. Like, if you get known on Twitter, it's a life hack. You get incredible amounts of inbound. Like, one of my other friends, he's building a business and because he speaks about what he's doing on Twitter, all of his inbound comes from Twitter. Like, it's actual B2B clients who come from Twitter. So, like, there is no other force multiplier which can help you as much as Twitter.
Right. I think the analogy like to look at it is if you're looking for a job, I think LinkedIn is a better place for you. But if you're looking to build and find
Yes,
builders,
yes.
X is a much, much better platform.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Like, I think either way, no matter what you're doing, if you are loud on social media and like if you get seen, it's going to be high leverage. Be it on LinkedIn, be it on Twitter, be it wherever.
so what does it mean to be seen, Akshay? How do you get seen? If someone's just starting off, say today, right, and they're building something, and they're posting every day on X, how do they get, say, you to see it, or someone with 10,000 followers to see it? How do they get to that point?
So you build cool things and you post about it and you be authentic about your journey. And you do this long enough, you're going to get some good number of followers. Yeah.
Got it.
So
So
for
you,
example, the way I got many of my followers was I kept building and launching things. And I also read a lot. I write some blogs. So I keep posting those things on Twitter. So I'm trying to build like a good, like I'm trying to put myself out there, show people what I'm doing. And like one of my posts went really viral, and then like of a product I built and launched, then a product I built after that also got a pretty good amount of traction, like my most recent one. So these two things, like when you hit these posts which get a lot of attention, your follow count increases quite a bit. So over a long period of time, when you keep doing this, your followers will keep increasing. And once you have many followers, it's a self-reinforcing loop. Like your followers will increase as long as you continue posting. So you just be yourself, be authentic, do cool stuff, and talk about it.
makes sense. So actually going back to the founder communities you're talking about, right? So you're part of a founder community right now. What are the founder communities out there in SF, and how does one join them, and why should one be joining them if they want to build in SF?
Uh, I think so. The biggest reason why you should join a founder community is because uh, these are founder dense hotspots that get a lot of inbound. Everyone in SF who is trying to build something will try to get into those places. And initially, you don't have enough of a brand to command that kind of inbound. Maybe you will in a while, but initially you don't. So if you want to meet these people, you go to these founder communities. And there, so meeting the people is one. The second thing is usually when you see how much progress other entrepreneurs are making, you get very motivated. Like, so if you're a solo founder and you're working alone, like if you feel like, oh, like what am I doing with my life, this, that, you can see other people who are in the same boat. And you can see them not losing faith. And then you can be like, yeah, if they can do it, then I can do it too. So that's also a really good thing there. And you also see what kind of ideas people are working on. It gives you a lot of exposure to like what's out there and what people are doing, what's succeeding, what's not, all of this.
That makes sense. So it's like a community where you can all relate with each other. You can see what people are doing, how they're doing it, what is working and what is not.
Exactly.
That
And,
makes
and like,
sense.
yeah, and like most of all, it's just when you're a startup founder, you are grinding all the time, like morning to night, 7 days a week. There is no time for a social life. So if you want friends, then might as well be in your workplace. So like you make friends. Yeah.
100%. So, actually, talk to us about the builder community you're a part of, and what other communities people can be a part of, and how you got in. And if someone's interested in joining today, how do they do that?
Yes. So I have been part of two communities in SF. So The one I'm currently at is South Park Commons. South Park Commons is a really good community. You will find people who are in their 30s, who are in their 20s. One of the people there is like 16. Everyone's really cracked. Like you will find people who've sold their previous companies and have now come there. You will find people who are leading huge teams at Google and all these other places. Like there's someone who was leading a team at DeepMind and now they've joined South Park Commons. So it's a very diverse community. A lot of people who are more experienced who you can gain a lot of knowledge from. So the typical way you apply is that they have an application and you can apply through the application. However, if you get a referral, your chances get exponentially higher. Like one of the ways they filter out is if you're a good enough founder, you can get yourself a connect into South Park Commons. Like you can network your way into it. So like that's like one of the filters they have. So getting a referral is great for South Park Commons. And I think just getting a referral for any of these founder communities is great. So similarly, so this was South Park Commons, and they also have a great pipeline of funding your startup once you start to get traction, and like that's something you can talk to them about or search more online. The other one I was part of is Founders Inc., and that's a community where just it's a space where people work. There was an early stage fund, but you can work there if they like you. You can work there without getting them to actually invest in you, and a lot of young people will be there. They're very focused towards consumer startups, games, VR, AI consumer startups. They teach you a lot of marketing. They have these occasional accelerators where they'll have talks, they'll track your progress. So the best way to apply to Founders Inc. is to apply to one of their accelerators. It's usually called Ship It or Off Season. Like you can find more about this online, but apply to one of their accelerators or get friends inside Founders Inc. to refer you. You can never go wrong with a referral.
That makes sense. So actually, you're talking about your products that went, your the things you've built going viral on X, right? So can you talk about the products you've built, what problem was it solving, and what kind of traction you got, and like how that helped you move on to the next version of the product, or like understand that that product is not enough for you to build a company based just on that.
Yes, this is a great question. So I think I've tried to build like five, six different ideas and have been really quick with it. Spoken to people, launched, put something out there, got learnings, and then changed direction accordingly. So initially in January, I was building a tool for enterprises where because everyone in enterprises hates writing documentation, and eventually AI agents will automate everything. The AI agents currently don't have everything to work with. Like they don't, if people don't have documentation, they call and ask each other. But if AI agents don't have documentation, they'll probably get bottlenecked. Like their tasks will get slower. So I was looking into helping these enterprises document things better. But what I found out there was, as a complete outsider, I had no idea how enterprises work. I had no idea which enterprise does what documentation. I had no friends inside enterprises. It was just incredibly, incredibly difficult to break in. And that was what showed me like what it means to have distribution and what it means to have a founder market fit, like being able to actually navigate your way around a space. I found out the importance of solving a problem that you have faced yourself. Like all of these things I learned, and these are things which it's tough to calibrate no matter how much you read. You have to do it, you have to realize how hard it is, and then you have to like change direction. So that's what I did in January. After that, I built an IDE. Like an IDE is where you write code, like Cursor or Windsurf or VS Code. I built an IDE for non-technical people because right now you've got Lovable and Bolt, which build you very pretty front ends, but they cannot build much of a backend. Like they might put a database and CRUD operations in the background, but they cannot do any kind of AI application building. So I was like, let me give non-technical people more power to build AI applications. And I built and launched that, and that really blew up. It got 500,000 views. I got like 800 users, spoke to a lot of my heavy users. And then what I learned there was that the users, they did not want to interact with the flowcharts. Like they would much rather just speak to the AI. And it became very apparent to me that based on how the AI trend is increasing, you will be able to talk your way into AI applications really soon. Like coding agents are insanely good and it's not going to stop getting better. So you can just tell agents to build AI applications for you and they'll do it in natural language. So which is why I decided to put the blocker on that. What I worked on most recently was Corta, which was a second brain software. So I am a power user of Notion and I am a power user of ChatGPT. So I know very intimately the problems with Notion and with ChatGPT. And I knew that the final interface is not either of these two. It's ideally something where you have some control over how your memories are organized, and AI will retrieve everything at the perfect time whenever you need it. So I built that and I launched that. I personally used it for many, many days. I really liked it. A lot of my early users liked it. This also got good traction on Twitter, like 50K, 60K views, many DMs saying that like we'd like to be a beta user. Like only opened it up for beta testing. And then what I found out was that I was trying to give people control of their memory layer. But most people did not really want control of their memory layer. All they wanted was that, like, for example, ChatGPT will not retrieve all the relevant memories. So it's like it's not great at it. So they only wanted the mental piece of adding everything they knew is relevant to context. Just so that they know the AI has exhaustively seen all the relevant content which they've written before. But to me, it seems pretty apparent that ChatGPT will get much better at this and they will implement something similar. So, like, because people don't care about seeing their memory, I don't need to show them their second brain. It just needs to be good retrieval, and ChatGPT will do that. Which is why it became apparent to me that this is also probably not a great path to go down. But what I'm doing right now seems very promising to me. I'm exploring reinforcement learning environments for these big model labs. I have some friends who got huge contracts from these model labs recently and to build reinforcement learning environments. And pre-training has hit a wall. All the data is over. Now all the latest training, Claude 3.7 Sonnet, Claude 4 Sonnet, all of these have been trained through reinforcement learning. And it's way more nuanced. You need reward signals, you need adequate human annotated data. It's very complex. And there are some huge companies here. There's Mercor, there is Scale AI. There are a bunch of these reinforcement learning startups which have popped up lately. Thinking Machines, which is Mira Murati's latest startup. All of this is in this space. So, and it's a space which is just going to keep rising because this is the only way models will get better. So that's what I'm looking into right.
Interesting. So a couple of questions here, Akshay. So the first one you said is you got beta users from X, right? So what kind of people are these? Are these people who are like other founders, other builders, or are these people who are like working in companies? Like what kind of people, individuals are these who are like usually your beta testers, and how do you interact?
So it completely depends on the kind of product because the people who your product appeals to will actually come to you. So, for example, my second brain thing, it was usually founders because founders are people who need to do a lot of deep thinking, a lot of strategizing, a lot of organization, a lot of driving their own work forward. Like that's why they need a second brain software to boost their cognitive abilities. So, for this, most of my beta testers were like founder oriented. Then for my previous thing, most of my beta testers were like, I found many young people from India. I found many people doing jobs here. I found many non-technical entrepreneurs. Like that was way more of a mixed bag. Like anyone who my non-technical ID appealed to. Yeah.
Makes sense. So Akshay, typically when people build when they start a company, they usually have two or three people like co-founders working together, right? So what has the journey been like as a solo founder for you? Do you find it challenging? What are some things you did not know of before?
Great question. I have some very important things to share here. So I have made some mistakes and I've done some things really right. Let me tell you both. So the first thing I would say, the most important thing, this is one of the mistakes I made, is when I was in college, in my undergrad, and then in my masters. Less so in my masters, but more so in my undergrad. I could have been way more outgoing about meeting all of the smart people that were around me and like figuring out what their interests are, what they want to build, whether they're inclined towards jobs or quantitative trading. Like getting to know people who are smart and driven around you when you are in college, it is an incredible life hack because you will never find a co-founder more easily than when you are in college. So if you are a student who is in college or who is going for your masters, make it a point to, ask for lunch, ask for dinner, just hang out, work together with every smart person you see. because it's going to pay huge dividends. So that's one of the mistakes I made, and that's something you should keep in mind. The second thing is so when it comes to finding a co-founder as a solo founder, it's very tough. So there are two options here. One is that you keep finding people who are interesting. You do a work trial with them. You check out how much of a fit it is, and there is maybe like a 2 to 3% success rate. Like that's how rare it is. Finding someone who's really, really smart, who is technical, who has complementary skills to you, and who is excited about the vision you are excited about. Especially when you don't have enough traction yet. It's very difficult. So the better way, according to me, is you be a solo founder, build cool things, talk about it, and create a gravitational field around yourself. What that will do is the next time you talk to someone, they will know that this person is doing like some really good things and they will want to be a part of it. And like you'll immediately get credibility. Every room you go into, like you will stand out. And that works wonders to attract the right kind of people. So be a solo founder, build traction, and use that to attract other people. And then it gets way easier. Now, while you are a solo founder, continue to work on your ideas. However, if you can do a work trial with a potential co-founder without abandoning your current idea, do it. Like, as long as it does not kill your momentum, every chance you get to do a work trial, you should do it because that will calibrate your sense of what you need in a co-founder and that will help you test out way more people. Like, it is incredibly important that you work with people. And even if you work with someone for 1 week, it's an incredible amount of data. Like, your gut will tell you everything you need to know after a week. So, work on things. Don't lose momentum while doing work trials. Try to do work trials while maintaining your momentum. And even if you can't, then if you get traction, you can attract the right kind of people.
So Akshay, when you talk about a work trial, are these like hackathons or like how do you spend? What do you build with the other person for a week, and what is that generally like?
So, it can be either. So, to me, a hackathon is not enough information. It is not enough information to find out about someone. And hackathons will detract, like, it'll take away 2 days of you working on your current idea. Like it also kills momentum a bit. So I have done hackathons before. And if there is a friend who's really high potential and who does not want to work on your like current idea with you, then okay, maybe it makes sense to do a hackathon. But typically you inspire the other person about what you're working on and you work on it together for a week or for like 10, 11 days, ideally 2 weeks until you have enough data.
That makes sense. So Akshay, so other than just like going to hackathons or figuring out what you want to build, you spoke about your iterations of how you started from one idea and moved on to the next, figuring out that the market's not good enough or you do not have a good founder market fit for a certain idea. So how did you come up with your first idea in the first place, right? You were talking about how you wanted to connect how businesses do not have enough of their own protocols or whatever written down, so things like that, right? But how did you come up with that idea in the first place? Like what hit you there?
So I think there are two ways to come up with great ideas. One way is you have certain experiences in the past. Think about where you faced a big pain point, what you would have loved if someone solved, things you saw in the places you worked before where they were losing a lot of money, and use that asymmetric information to go for that, like fix that pain point, right? That is if you have something like that, where you have asymmetric information. For many of us, especially if you're young, you will not have asymmetric information. What you do in such cases is if you want to build a huge startup, you put yourself in the future, see where the world is going to go, see what is missing from that vision right now, and then remove the bottlenecks in that vision. Like remove the bottlenecks in the path to that vision. And that's going to build a huge company. That's how Scale AI got their idea. Like they were in YC and Alexander Wang and his co-founder, they were working on something completely different. They had to pivot in the middle of the batch and then they did not know what to do. So they just put themselves in the future. And then they said, just like there are APIs to orchestrate agents, there need to be APIs for humans to collect data. Otherwise, how is this going to work? Like, how will AI work? So they went there and it really panned out. There's something Paul Graham says again and again, like the founder of YC. He says that put yourself in the future, see what's missing, and go build it. So I think these are the two best ways. What I would recommend way lesser. So this completely depends upon you. But many people will say, okay, I want a boring industry or I want to go into this particular vertical and I will go and look for a pain point, even when I don't have that asymmetric information. That is something you can do, but there you lose a lot of control in terms of how big your end startup becomes. And that's something I am personally uncomfortable with, but I know many friends who are going down this path and it might really work for them. Yeah.
That makes sense. So, Akshay, coming back to SF, right? Talk to us about the life of someone building in SF. What does that look like? What does your routine look like? How do you find people? How do you find friends? And what is that journey like for you?
So, in terms of finding people and finding friends, get into one of the founder communities. Ideally, get into a hacker house. So you have people around you building stuff in both places, and you have a support system in both places. Once you have that, you will find friends in either of these places who are well connected, who have other friends who they know are smart, and then you just like through them you can meet a lot of people. So in terms of meeting people, get yourself into founder hotspots and then make friends. And then like just many of you will know many people and it's inevitable that you will introduce each other to it. In fact, I would say if you know smart people who are relevant to someone, like go out of your way to introduce them. Because like in SF, like just you should help each other without any like unconditionally help others and it does come back. Like it's a big thing here in the Bay Area. So just if you can help in any way connect people together, do it. And that's a great way to meet people. In terms of routine, I wake up, I have the same breakfast every day because it's the fastest. I go to work to the same place because I've got friends there and it's a founder community. I work there until like from maybe 9 a.m. to like 7 p.m. On days when I'm not super like when I'm super motivated, it'll be 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. And that usually happens when you have when you feel mentally sound, like you have friends, you are happy. At that point, you can push that much. If you're not great mentally, then you can do like maybe 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. or something, and then come back, go to the gym. When you're traveling, listen to an audiobook, listen to a podcast, and then rinse and repeat. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting. So, Akshay, what are you currently building and what is the vision for your product?
So right now, I would say I'm more in the exploratory phase. I just pivoted out of what I was building most recently, the second brain one. In fact, that was just like I think a few days, like 3 days ago. And since then, I have been speaking to a lot of people doing reinforcement learning environments, and I am setting up meets with a lot of people in the big AI labs. Like it's just my friends and friends of friends. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I have some hypotheses. I'm going to test those hypotheses and see if I'm right. And then based on that, I'll see where to go. Yeah.
Got it. So, Akshay, how does it generally work, right? So now you've been iterating through ideas. So how do you know at what point you should stop? And do you know if this search will ever stop? Like how does someone who is looking for an idea figure all of this out?
Um, so it's a lot of first principles thinking. You need to think of where the world is headed. You will make certain assumptions in that regard. Like the world is going here, the assumptions I'm making is that this and this and this, right? As long as your reasoning is rigorous enough, like this is like you will reach those conclusions. Then you build products to test those assumptions. If you say that okay, the future is this, then the trend to ride will be this other particular. Like with my second brain, I was like, people want control over their second brain and they want to go through it themselves and they want it to be auditable. So, and that's the future I see. Like ChatGPT is too opaque. That's the bet I was making. So then I built a product where it was very easy to build your second brain. The AI would organize it for you and you could see everything. And then I put it out there and I saw what people's reactions were. I saw if they enjoyed using it. I spoke to people. Like once you put things out there, you will get so many different perspectives. People will tell you things you're missing. So once you get all of this data, you reevaluate your assumptions and you be real with yourself. If it's not working, be real with yourself. If it's working, be real with yourself. And at that point, you will know pretty quick when you should change direction.
That makes sense. Akshay, as we come towards the end of the episode, do you have any advice you want to give to students who are in colleges or universities in the US or in India or anywhere else in the world? What advice do you think you wish you had known or you want to give to them at this point in time?
I think two main pieces of advice. One is take up reading. Like nothing is going to 10x your leverage in life and 10x your thinking than doing a lot of reading. Like read books, listen to audiobooks, listen to podcasts. It's insane. You can peek into the best minds of all the generations that lived before you. Like it's unparalleled. That is something you must do. And Elon, Sam Altman, Jeff Bezos, all of these are prolific readers. They read a lot. So you must do that. I would say ensure you meet the smartest people you know and make good relationships with them in college because you won't get an environment like this again. And the last thing I would say is go out and build a startup, man. Like if you can, just do it. There is no better time. Like it is once every 20 years do we get a big wave like this. It was the internet before. It is AI now. Who knows what it will be in the future? But if you're young, if you can take risk and if you have the hunger to, go and do something crazy, then just take the leap. Don't be afraid.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Cool. Akshay, this was a fantastic conversation. I think people who are listening to this it will find it very useful, especially people who don't know where to start, people who want to move to SF, or people on an F1 visa who want to start a company. I think all of these people will find it really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Akshay.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Hafsid. This was great.
Thank you. Awesome. So this brings us towards the end of this episode. Thank you everyone for watching. And if you like this and you want to see more of such content, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.